So we're here in Austin, Texas, and we're here at the International OCD Foundation Conference where we finished our presentation, our talk. And the name of our talk again is?
The Paradox of OCD, having an
obsessive fear of having OCD.
That is a mouthful.
That is definitely a mouthful, but it came out. So let's help the audience understand what in the world does all of that mean, the paradox of OCD.
Harold?
The paradox of OCD, having an obsessive fear about having OCD, to me means once you're post-treatment and in recovery, for us at least, we've developed a fear of relapse, and our OCD turned into worrying and ruminating about, oh no, I don't want to relapse. I don't want to go back to the darkest part of my life. I want to keep progressing and keep getting better. And the darkest part of my life was so scary and so difficult that I'm afraid I'll go back to that. And going back to that sounds like the worst thing in the world to me. And whatever's the worst thing in the world to you is what OCD will definitely attack. So yeah, we developed pretty much a fear of relapse.
That's exactly what it is, right? It's a fear of relapse. And again, OCD will target whatever you care about the most, right? So if you care about not relapsing and not going back to that dark place where you were completely debilitated, then of course that becomes your new OCD fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you learn about how to defeat that?
I think it was always just being open to the idea that it could happen, and it might happen. Particularly, I know, like, you talked about it, possibly happening after having kids, and that's a very big possibility. So I might have to look forward to that in my future, and hopefully, well, not hopefully having OCD, hopefully having kids, but.
And maybe OCD too.
Maybe. But yeah, just I think the more you try to, again, the path of least resistance, and like the more I'm afraid, like I don't want it to come back, I'm gonna like scrunch up against it, the more it'll find a way to poke through. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, can I just say, as someone who's a little bit more on the outside looking in, you guys did a phenomenal job today. I was very enlightened. I have some experience with this, via this woman here. But I just thought the topic, the subject matter, never even occurred to me, and it makes perfect sense. It's sort of ironical, but it makes perfect sense that it could happen. And the fact that you guys, sort of managed it as well as you have and were able to speak so eloquently about it was very impressive to me. So
Appreciate
thank you for that. Yeah.
But more importantly, it's really essential to grasp the concept of now. Now is all you have. And like you said earlier, do you want to be at your deathbed at 86 and thinking about how much life?
He didn't say 86. He said 50
100.
or 60 or 70.
Yeah,
I was like, people are dying early in this guy's story.
I was just saying.
I'm sure people in the audience were like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of us should be dead already.
Yeah.
So, do you want to be at your deathbed regretting having spent so much of your life stuck in OCD, right? And to defeat OCD, you have to learn to confront those fears and confront the avoidances. So engage in the things that you would normally avoid because of OCD, because OCD keeps you stuck. And do you guys remember your worst experience with OCD? Were you stuck?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For like a minute?
No.
2 minutes?
Days.
Yeah.
Days.
Yeah.
You would be stuck, right? And that is a horrible feeling. So for some people, they say, well, but I don't want to go through the torture. of doing exposure therapy. And exposure therapy is the evidence-based treatment for OCD, for those of you who don't know, which means you learn to confront your fears. So for those people who say, well, I don't want to engage in exposure therapy because I don't want to go through the torture of having to confront my fears, what would you say? Why did you guys do it?
Well, I didn't at first.
Oh, that's
you know, I was in there in therapy, supposed to get help, but I wasn't committed to getting help, so I didn't get better. Like, you have to be the one who wants to get better.
You know, you said something that I thought was key for everyone, whether you have OCD or not, which is you were looking for a quick fix. So I thought that was very, illuminating.
Got to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to buckle up, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I definitely think that you have to want it. You have to get so fed up with being bullied
by OCD.
You have to get so fed up of being bullied by OCD that you will do anything to find your freedom and find your peace. And yeah, like we said, it's hard work. It's not easy. But I'll tell you what, even 30 minutes of a clear, relaxed mind, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Versus being caught in your OCD
Yeah.
spirals. 30 minutes of peace, wow. 5 minutes peace, anything.
Yeah.
That's why it's worth it, because the quality of how you can live, and it's not even how it's not even the accomplishments in life. It's not your job. It's not your, right. It's not your job. It's not your promotion. It's not your car. It's about how do you feel in the present moment. You either want to feel good or you're going to sit there tormented, because like we said, tomorrow you might not be here. I want to spend every day I can being happy and at peace rather than feeling tortured.
Ready to go home after like a week and a half of treatment, and then just coming out on the other side, just being able to be present, a lot of annual things happened this year that I remember going through the year before, like Christmas parties or birthdays, and I was like, this is so much different. Like last Christmas I was zonked out, I don't remember anything, I don't remember anybody, and versus this Christmas or this birthday party or whatever, and I'm there, I'm present, and it was just such a good feeling and completely worth it.
So it's like you're living life
like
now,
actually living, yeah.
right?
I think with what you guys are saying on that, I've noticed about 2 weeks ago I was in Michigan seeing my grandma, and that was the first vacation in recent years where I had been able to be fully present, fully there, and really enjoy it. And I'd been there to my grandma's house many times when I was a kid, but as a kid I wasn't really aware of the being in the present. I was a kid, I was just doing what kids do. But now where I'm aware of that and I can really be in the present and be there and enjoy it, that was the best trip of my life, because that was where I was most clear-headed and present. And last summer I was in Europe for 3 months, and even there, me and Dr. Yip talked every couple of days, and I had a great time, but I worried every single day. And it was great still, but a lot of worrying, a lot of caught in my head. But even just at my grandma's house for a week, at the point I'm at now, best vacation I've ever had, because I was really able to be there, appreciate it, and be present.
What did you guys have to go through to get to this present mind that you're currently at? I mean, what was the journey like to go from I'm not sure about that, I don't want to do that, to now I'm present in this moment?
I think I had to hit rock bottom to see that, there's nowhere to go but up. There's nowhere to go but get treatment, because where I was a year and a half ago, that wasn't really living. That was me living in a weird limbo state.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
One foot tuned out of life and one going through the motions. And it was really hard. I don't, even now in my current mind, I can't cast back to what the IOP was like, other than it was really hard. And
IOP stands for
Intensive
Intensive Outpatient Program.
But it was like the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Like, I'd rather, all the worst times I've gotten physically ill, like a tummy ache or a fever, I would have traded all of that over IOP, or like chosen that over IOP any day. And it was really tough. And what's tough about it, I think, is that you can't go home and turn it off. The treatment is a 360-degree thing. You can't go home and be like, oh, now I'm not in the process of healing. You're constantly in the process of healing.
And I think the problem is a lot of people do their work in therapy, but then they go home,
undo it,
and don't make a step of progress.
Crazy as clinicians.
Well, even me back in the day, I would sit in your office and you're telling me you got to do this, and this, and I'll be sitting there just ritualizing away, just in my head, just. But I think, for me, with what I had to, like, what got me there to where I was really willing to commit to it, I think it was a mixture of anger, because I'd felt like I'd been a prisoner for so many years and I was so ready to live life. But also, I think, I figured that, how do I say that? I figured that, like we had talked about in the speech earlier, I had a lot of deep thinking. I had to think, really, how do I want to live my life? I've just accepted into college. If I can work on this and if I can get better, I have a bright future ahead of me, hopefully a very bright future. But if I quit and succumb to the OCD and let it control me, then my life will just fall down the drain. And it really felt like life or death. If I fight this, I can live a wonderful life. If I don't, then I'm gonna keep just going through the motions, not even there.
Right, which is insanity, right?
Yeah, that's what you always say. Actually, we've talked about this a little bit ourselves, but wondering what your thoughts are about people who, it's sort of, I don't know, in vogue to say, oh, I have OCD, or my OCD is doing this, for people who have no OCD whatsoever, and they kind of make a joke out of it. How do you guys feel
Everyone
about that?
Everyone is so OCD, right?
Right,
I
exactly.
mean,
Or like, I keep my house clean, I'm so OCD.
Yeah.
Well, here you go first. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I used to get really, really angry about it, and I used to, tell my friends, but I think it's become such a part of, like, everyday vernacular that now I've sort of accepted that they don't do it out of any malice or any spite, out of spite, and it's just them. But I do hope, there have been terms in, like, mental health that a lot of people know not to use and know not to,
Well, people don't go around saying, I'm so autistic.
Right, exactly.
Or I'm so schizophrenic.
Yeah, I'm so schizophrenic.
Right? So why is it okay to say I'm so OCD?
I think that also, like, media plays a part. You know how, like...
yeah, for sure it does.
Mara Wilson was talking about it in her keynote speech about how, like, every person on TV or in movies who have OCD, they're, like, stubborn and they're quirky, and it's treated as a joke. So that's why people don't really take it seriously. And, oh, I'm just quirky like that guy on TV.
Right. And unfortunately, the observer can't see the nightmare that keeps replaying in your mind like a broken record, right? So all they see are the behavioral things that you do. So like walking in and out of doors, standing up and down, washing your hands repeatedly, checking doorknobs and stoves and anything, right? However, what people don't see is that nightmare.
Yeah.
That keeps circling around. It's not like you want that nightmare to occur, right? You have no control over it. And the reason why you engage in the compulsion is to feel better, because who doesn't want to feel better?
I think that, like what you're asking, how do we feel about, like, when people, oh, I'm so OCD? I personally, I mean, like you were saying, they have no way of seeing inside of our heads. They have no way of understanding it, and there's no hate in their hearts when they're saying that. So honestly, I kind of brush it off and just view it as just, well, they don't know. They're not at fault. They just don't know, because I'm sure that all of us sometimes say things that others might not agree with, or that are maybe a little insensitive just because we don't know. And I think that's just a human trait. Sometimes you make mistakes, and sometimes you don't know, and you don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. So I don't view anyone negatively for it. I don't judge anyone for it. But I mean, it's definitely a goal of the whole, I mean, any mental health community or mental health advocate, to raise awareness and decrease stigma. And I feel like raising awareness will make that decrease.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think if you let it make you mad, if you let it control you, if you get pissed off by it, then that's just letting something else in your life control you, when really they didn't mean anything.
Something you probably want to say. I just want to piggyback on it really quickly. I also have questioned why, unlike other areas of mental health, some of the better known celebrities out there, I'm not going to name anyone, who have this condition, aren't really advocates for it. I know you just mentioned someone particularly with a keynote speech, but there have been celebrities for quite some time who sort of,
a lot of them,
kind of sweep it under the rug, which is the converse of autism, which is like everywhere. And so I'm curious how you think advocacy and awareness can grow with those people who we look to oftentimes for support and guidance, aren't really,
because they're the voice.
Make it known. Yeah, so I'm curious about that. You too.
Thank you.
I think
I'm speaking.
I think that oftentimes something like autism, that sometimes just due to genetics or due to whatever just happens, and people understand that sometimes can just happen, and it just happens by chance. And I think OCD can definitely happens by chance also, but with OCD there's kind of a darker,
it's a genetic component.
No, there for sure is, but with people and their OCD personally, everyone has their own dark, weird thoughts, and often OCD thoughts can be pretty embarrassing to share, and it can just be like there's a lot of stigma attached to certain types of OCD. There's not a lot attached to like hand washing and stuff, but if you go around telling people I have scary thoughts about murdering people, that's a lot different than saying my son has autism. You know what I mean? So I think people are embarrassed, and they're embarrassed also because a lot of people don't understand it. But I think the best thing to do, like, I'm not asking anyone to share your deep, dark thoughts, but just be proud of who you are regardless, and don't be afraid of who you are, because if you share what's going on with you, what's helping you, what you're going through, guaranteed someone listening will it'll help them. It'll definitely help them.
You'd be surprised at how many people share similar traits. Have similar experiences. And just being here at the conference, how many people have you met here who are sufferers or family members of sufferers who are experiencing very similar things that you're going through?
You said got a 2,086 people here listening.
Yeah, 2,086 people at the International OCD Foundation Conference. So, and that's just a very small number of the amount of people who actually suffer from OCD. And stats currently show at least 1 in 100 adults and at least 1 in 200 children suffer from OCD. And that's definitely an underestimate, because again, many people,
a lot of people go undiagnosed.
And this is mind-blowing. The average number of years a person must suffer in order to get appropriate treatment is 14 to 17 years. That is a lot of people suffering for decades unnecessarily.
Including misdiagnosis.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I also think a sad thing that I've realized, I have a cousin with OCD. My mom has some colleagues with OCD. And I think that finding real OCD treatment where the therapists are knowledgeable about it and train and really know what they're talking about can often be pretty hard to find.
Yeah.
Like I hear about therapists, giving someone like a stone to rub when they're feeling anxious, or like a song, draw a picture, or like listen to this song, just like things like that. But at the end of the day, ERP, doing what scares you.
Which stands for Exposure Response Prevention Therapy. I know we're throwing a lot of acronyms out.
Doing what scares you repeatedly to build up an immunity to it so it doesn't scare you anymore that's the tried and trusted way to beat not only OCD but any fear. You can be afraid of heights, but I guarantee you if you jump off a 40-foot jump into water 10 times a day for a week, by the end of the week you're not going to be scared of it anymore. And that's the same with OCD.
I think you might have scared a lot of people who are now just open.
I think you scared me just now. I'm like, I don't know about that.
40 foot, that's not that big. I've done that.
I've done that.
I've done that. Right. Every person alive, at least most people, always experience some form of anxiety at one time or another in their life. And
Stress
I think
and anxiety is the number one mental health illness.
Yeah. And I think, it always comes in different colors, but it's still something that's okay and something that just happens. It's not by choice. It's not like I want to have OCD, but some things in life you can't control, and you can either hide from it and be afraid or be proud of who you are and work to be the best you can be.
I guess for those who don't know a lot about what OCD is, that it's a lot more serious than the movies play it out to be. And to take it easy on those who might have OCD. Like, they're trying. I know with a lot of the rituals and the fears, it might not look like they're trying very hard, or it might just look like they're doing their own silly thing again, but it's a nightmare inside their own minds, and just take it easy on them. They're going through stuff.
And I think for OCD sufferers out there, the biggest thing is just don't live your life in fear. Don't let fear control you. It probably, if you have OCD and you've been suffering, it probably has controlled you, but you gotta take control back and stop letting fear control you.
Or be at your deathbed at age 50.
Did I really say that? I said 50.
Yeah, you did.
I was cracking up.
I was trying to say 56 or whatever, but
it was awesome.
So for those of you who are interested in finding out more information, you can definitely get information at the International OCD Foundation's website, which is IOCDF.org. There's also more information at my treatment center's website, which is renewedfreedomcenter.com. For others who are experiencing anxiety, different kinds of anxiety, as Harold was mentioning, there's information at the Anxiety and Depression Association of America's website, and these are all nonprofits, which is adaa.org. And there's also my podcast, The Stressless Life. So I want to thank you, Sam, and you, Harold, for joining me here today and being the change that we want to see in our world, right?
Absolutely. You guys are very brave and very impressive.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I think for OCD sufferers out there who are dealing with it alone and feel alone, come to an event like IOCDF or some other OCD event, or even join some OCD group therapy or individual therapist, whatever it is though. Nobody wants to struggle alone, and reach out and get help because it's there for you.
And the IOCDF has affiliates in different regions of the US, so you can get more information, find the affiliate that is closest to you, and contact them. There are always events. There's an OCD walk that occurs in June, and in October it's OCD Awareness Week. So there's always things to do to help you learn more, and most importantly, get to effective treatment so you're not suffering for 14 to 17 years before you find effective ERP. And last thing, not all therapists or therapies are created equally. So do your research and make sure you find the evidence-based treatment for OCD. Thank you for joining us.